Thank you for downloading this Brum Radio podcast. For more podcasts, visit brumradio.com.
And now, for your listening pleasure, it's the Brum Picture Show, brought to you by Brum Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Brum Picture Show, the film show brought to you by Birmingham-based community cinema collective Screen B14. On this week's show, we have a very special episode indeed, as we have been joined in the studio by a real-life guest. That's
What?
Right, I know, an actual human being came into the studio, sat down and talked to us.
By accident.
No, apparently by their own free will. They actually made a conscious effort to come in and talk to you and me, Nadine.
Wow, that's mad.
So yes, that's right. The co-writer, star and producer of Hundreds of Beavers, Ryland Brickson Cole Tews, has been in Birmingham touring the aforementioned film Hundreds of Beavers, and he was kind enough to join us. So if you're not familiar with the film, I implore you to check it out, and I implore you to stay tuned and listen to the interview, as Ryland was a delight to talk to, and it's quite an entertaining listen, if I say so myself. It was good. So, as you've just heard, I'm joined in the studio today by Nadine O'Mahony, media big shot of the Brum Picture Show. And she is on a tight schedule today. She's got to go off and do some media-y stuff. But thankfully, also joining us in the studio today is John Lithgow. And if I go on too long, he's going to do a mildly disappointed face.
Oh, good.
Yes.
If you haven't watched the Oscars, you won't get that reference.
Yeah, so at the Oscars, there was a joke that whenever anyone went on too long, they'd show John Lithgow doing a disappointed face. So there you go. And he should be disappointed because he's destined to spend his whole life acting in Harry Potter stuff now.
I will start singing at you if you go on too long.
Okay. I look forward to that. So anyway, yes, very exciting episode. An actual celebrity cult film human being will be coming up later. But first of all, it is time for the news section. So, of course, the big news is the Oscars have happened. As of recording, they happened last night. And I'd just like to take you back to last episode, the awards season episode, when I, Paul, said, you know what? I think Honora might sweep the board. And Nadine, she said, what? Are you stupid, Paul? Are you stupid? That's not going to happen. And then she hit me and stuff.
I don't remember that.
I remember it very well. And what happened at the Oscars last night, Nadine? Who was it? Any film sweep the board in particular?
No, actually, many commentators said that it was quite unusual, that it was just quite an even spread amongst most of the films. So nobody actually swept the board.
Well, I don't know. I've seen that phrase specifically be used in reference to Honora because, Sean Baker got, how many personal Oscars did he get?
4.
4. Yeah, that's quite rare, isn't it?
I wouldn't call that sweeping the ball.
I would. So the point is, Honora, which Nadine thought didn't stand a chance in heck, actually won quite a few Oscars, did quite well.
I don't remember this conversation.
So Nadine, what did you think of the Oscars and the results? Delighted, I'm sure.
I wasn't going to watch the Oscars because, as you know, I was working on a film set because I'm, showbiz type like that. But I couldn't help myself, Paul. I couldn't get to sleep. I was so excited. Mm-hmm. And I actually thought it was really funny. I really enjoyed Conan. I hope he comes back and does it again.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he?
He was brilliant. I liked the sketch. I wish it had been funny. I wish there'd been more Conan and maybe less awards.
There was only 23 awards, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, I mean, I liked the opening.
They did a little substance riff with Conan O'Brien crawling out of Demi Moore.
Yeah.
Little
musical number he did about wasting time wasn't that great.
Yeah.
But it was giving me Simpsons vibes, and I was like, you can tell that he wrote for The Simpsons because he's got, the Simpsons. He's like a living version of The Simpsons.
Yeah. Do you think Conan O'Brien actually writes stuff for the Oscars? Do you think he bothers to write things anymore? I think he's too big to have to,
I'm sure he sits in a room and talks at people like me, gets them to do the hard work and takes all the glory.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed him. He's certainly better than Jimmy Kimmel, isn't he?
Jimmy Kimmel's all right, but it was, I don't know, it felt refreshing and a little bit edgy at times. Some of the jokes I was like, ooh.
Well, yes, because they actually made reference to Carla Sophia Gascon Gate, didn't they?
I know, and Carla was there, and I was expecting the camera to cut to her. I was like, is she there? Because the camera didn't cut to her straight away for a reaction.
No, not straight away. Yeah.
But then they did cut to her, so I would have liked to have seen her initial reaction.
Yeah.
Although it seemed like she was getting I don't know if she was having a translation of what was being said at the time. I don't know how good her
possibly.
English is.
Well, people on the internet have been saying that Conan O'Brien says, if you're going to tweet about this, my name's Jimmy Kimmel. And people have suggested that she's actually just asking who Jimmy Kimmel is.
It's like, who?
Who?
What?
So, yeah, maybe the joke, didn't quite land. But still, so that was interesting. They actually bothered to address that. And,
I was shocked.
They got that out the window. But yes, so it was an interesting night. So yes, good night for Honora, as I said. Mikey Madison came away with Best Actress for Honora, and I thought she gave a masterclass in how to accept an award with dignity. Because, oh my goodness, I thought, no shade, but Zoe Saldana's speech, that was a bit cringeworthy, wasn't it? Do you not think?
I wasn't bothered by any of these speeches, to be honest, apart from that the French people who started singing.
Oh, yeah, that
was cringe.
Yeah, that was cringe. But
I didn't mind the rest of them.
Kieran Culkin, what a speech from him. He was...
that was a bit weird.
You thought it was a bit weird?
Yeah,
give me a fourth child.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously they've got some kind of banter, him and his wife.
Yeah,
so.
I think anyone else that would have come across as a bit creepy, but I thought with him, I thought it landed all right. I thought he did it innocently enough that it didn't seem like he was using his wife to produce offspring and nothing else.
A baby machine.
Yeah, because basically she'd promised him a fourth kid if he won an Oscar, obviously thinking he'd never win an Oscar. And then he was like, let's get making those babies, which I can see that could be seen as a little bit.
I do like him. I do think he's very funny. I've seen him in interviews. Yeah. I haven't seen A Real Pain yet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be back in cinemas after the Oscars, hopefully.
Yes, no, it is good. He is. I do think it's a deserving win. I mean, I would have still given it to Guy Pearce, but I'm happy. I'm happy for Kieran.
I like Jeremy Strong, but there you go.
There you go. And of course, Best Actor. Another controversy apparently that I didn't even notice when watching the ceremony, but apparently Adrian Brody threw his chewing gum at his wife before going on the stage.
Oh, I noticed that, but I didn't know what he was throwing.
Yeah, so apparently the internet has been up in arms about this, saying, Adrian Brody, you abusive man throwing chewing gum at your wife. So this has been quite the controversy.
Obviously, he just didn't want to accept his Oscar with chewing gum in his hands.
Well, yes, clearly.
I suppose he could have dropped it on the floor, but then he'd be accused of littering, wouldn't he?
It's probably, he should have just swallowed it, to be honest.
Oh, was it like out of his mouth?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like a pack of chewing gum.
No, I presume that was what it was. He was about to go and give his speech. He's like, I can't have chewing gum in my mouth when I'm giving a speech. I'll throw it at my wife and she can dispose of it.
Oh, I'm up in arms now. That's
okay.
gross.
All right. So, Adrian Brody, your Oscar will be revoked by us. Because we have the power to do this.
Some interesting choices. I did say it was a political year. No Other Land won Best Documentary.
Yeah.
So people are really excited about that. Yeah. And I'm Still Here won Best International Film.
Again, for a 15-year-old film, it's just...
Oh, God, Paul. Please stop recycling these jokes. But yeah.
Says Mark Ruffalo.
But anyway, he wasn't there, sadly.
Oh.
But no, I think it was interesting. But at the same time, and let's not forget, Daryl Hannah shouted out Ukraine.
Oh.
Because she was presenting an award.
Yeah.
And if you've been watching the news at all lately, you'll know there's been a big hoo-ha in America with Trump and Zelensky supposedly trying to get a deal, as Trump is obsessed with, and just not going very well.
No, but it's all right. Michael Caine has sorted it out. Did you see?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he tweeted 2 tweets. The first one, calm down, Trump. The second one, calm down.
And did that work?
Yeah, apparently, yeah. The conflict in Ukraine has now been resolved.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. Very good to know.
But where should we send him next? Can he go to Israel?
Yes, send Michael.
Send him with envoy of peace, Michael Caine.
Yeah, send Michael Caine to the Middle East. There we go. What else was interesting from the Oscars? So we had a little bit of love for The Substance. I would have liked to have seen The Substance get more love, but it won Best Makeup and Hairstyling.
That was my biggest disappointment. Not that I thought The Substance should have swept the board, but, you know, like I said in the last episode, there wasn't a lot of female representation. Coralie Fagier was really flying the flag for women, and I was just really sad that, you know, she didn't win.
Yeah.
Demi could have been, you know, woman over 50 winning, showing that women are still relevant.
Yeah.
Isabella, another woman over 50, you know, no wins there. So I was disappointed there. I thought we could have had better representation.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. But at least Dune Part 2 got some flowers. I was happy about that, but you're not enthused. You're not bothered at all. Best original score, well deserved. The Brutalist, happy about that. And we didn't mention, best adapted screenplay went to Conclave again. Unusual Oscar choice, but it was a solid film. You know.
I think I don't think that was an unusual choice for best adapted.
Okay.
So I disagree with you there.
All right, there we go. You know, the Oscars happened. I do think, as always, it's stupid and arbitrary. And I hope, Nadine, after the success of Anora, you're coming round to this opinion.
No.
But
I do think we have a new winner of most aggressively sincere.
Oh, what, Adrian Brody?
No.
No? Go on.
Andrew Garfield.
Oh, I missed Andrew Garfield.
What did
goodness.
He do? So he came on with Goldie Hawn.
Okay.
And had a lovely moment with her, but it seemed to be completely unscripted.
Right.
Talking about how much his mother, who's passed away, loved her work and how she made people happy. And she seemed like she just wanted to get on with reading the auto cue.
Can I get back to my Prosecco?
He was really holding her hand and like trying to have this really sincere, emotional moment with her. And then she couldn't read the auto cue, so she asked him to read it. But I was like, is this scripted? Is he just ripping now? It went on for a while.
Wow, no, I missed that. That was funnily enough, that didn't wind up in any of the highlights reels that I watched this afternoon.
No,
so
I watched it live because I care.
So sorry, Bradley Cooper, your most aggressively sincere award has been snatched by Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, but I have to say, of the musical numbers, the Bond tribute was kind of hit and miss for me, but I do think Ray ate and left no crumbs. I'd like to see Ray doing the next Bond theme. I think she'd be fantastic.
All right.
Maybe Christopher Nolan will direct because it's at Amazon Studios now. That's the other big news.
Yeah, so they might give him final cut.
Yeah.
Because there was a news story recently that apparently after Tenet he was considering doing a new Bond film, but then the Broccolis were like, no. You will not have final cut.
What did the cauliflowers say?
Cauliflowers were like, yeah, go on, crack on, Chris.
But I'd love to see Cillian Murphy as the next Bond.
Yeah,
that'd be exciting. Or Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Or Leo DiCaprio, one of the Nolan regulars.
Yeah, maybe. I think they're probably all too old now. Well, it depends what direction they go with it, I suppose.
Yeah, old Bond.
Old Bond. So yeah, that is some news that Amazon now have Bond, so I'm sure
everybody's happy about
they will milk that for all it's worth, I'm sure. But of course, with the Oscar ceremony, we also need to mention the In Memoriam section. And wow, I mean, it went on for a while, and I'd forgotten just quite how many greats we've lost this year. Because a few of them, I was just like, oh my goodness, was that this year? Like Donald Sutherland, for instance.
I was going to say, it's crazy. Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, Roger Corman, all these people.
Lynch, of course.
David Lynch. And I feel like had obviously the big news, of course, was the passing of Gene Hackman, whose death was announced just a few days before the Oscars. And I kind of feel like had that not happened, then maybe the In Memoriam section would have been more geared towards Lynch. But he was one of the last people that they showed on screen. But yeah, it was all about Hackman because what a great loss. And his occasional co-star Morgan Freeman gave a touching little speech. And the other night, actually, I watched Under Suspicion for the first time. Have you seen it?
No, is it good?
It is good, but it's also quite an odd one because it's very early noughties, and it's from 2000. There's lots of things. It's like clearly trying to be quite modern and inventive in a sense, because most of it is set in one room. Basically,
okay,
it's just Morgan Freeman interrogating Gene Hackman, who is under suspicion. But it kind of it tries to zhuzh things up with with a very, very modern soundtrack, and it has an opening credit sequence that's basically like a TV opening credit sequence, as in it shows like little clips of the actors. It was just quite jarring. But yeah,
check it out.
Yeah, it's on Amazon at the moment, and I very much recommend it.
I watched the Royal Tenenbaums, but not because Gene had passed away. This was before that had been announced, so it was very much on my mind. Felt very appropriate as, if you know the story of that character, and sort of how he brings joy and other things into the life of his family after being estranged for some time.
But yeah, what an absolute legend is Gene Hackman. The conversation, the French connection, all the different things. A remarkable career. But yeah, you a big Gene Hackman fan, Nadine? Oh.
Well, I like him in the Royal Tenenbaums. I like him in the stuff. I think he's one of those. Whatever you see in him, you know he's going to be good in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he could be on set. He could clash with his directors.
Yeah.
I know he clashed with William Friedkin. He didn't agree with a lot of the sort of racist language used in the French Connection, and that was, a point of contention between them. And Wes Anderson said that, he complained that he wasn't getting paid enough on Royal Tenenbaums, but he said once he was on the job, he was professional and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, except for when he was screaming at Wes Anderson, right?
Oh, I don't remember that bit.
Apparently, they got into it.
But old school, should we say?
Yeah, old school. But yes, just a remarkable career. And then Dan Aykroyd used the opportunity to sell his vodka again, because that's what Dan Aykroyd does best, is sell his vodka. And on hearing of the death of Gene Hackman, he tweeted, pouring 2 headshots now, one in sorrow, one in celebration for the loss and for the life and career of the great Gene Hackman. But yeah, Dan Aykroyd is incapable of not plugging his vodka.
This is the world we live in now.
Yeah, even in a touching tribute.
My Grief, sponsored by...
Crystal Head vodka. It's good vodka, to be fair.
Okay.
I've got a bottle of it at home.
Are you being sponsored by...
No, yeah, if you're listening, Dan Aykroyd, send me some more Crystal Head vodka, please. But anyway, so yes, very sad news about Gene Hackman, but yeah, what a remarkable career. And it's made me go back and watch more of his films. So, everyone watch some Gene Hackman films. We better move on. But just quickly, I do want to mention, because we have got an interview with Ryland Brickson Cole Tews from Hundreds of Beavers coming up, and I saw a happy story that came out around the time that we were interviewing him, and that was that Hundreds of Beavers are going to be released into the English countryside.
Woo!
In real life.
The DVDs or what?
Yeah, no,
what we're talking about?
Actual real life wild beavers are going to be released into the wild in England after the government approved their reintroduction.
Is this some kind of promotional tool of Ryland's?
I don't know. He may have had something to do with it, and I should have asked him about this at the time. But yes, beavers, which were hunted to extinction in Britain 400 years ago, have been making a comeback, and now they're going to release some more, and it's going to be Beaver City. Beavers everywhere.
Well, Beaver City, that might be one way of putting it.
Yes. But I just thought that was nice. It's nothing to do with films, but it's about Hundreds of Beavers. And seems as this is the Hundreds of Beavers episode, I felt like I should mention it.
Well, I've watched the film.
Yeah.
And I don't know
if that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, will they build a fortress?
Yeah.
And start trying to skin people for their skin?
I would say probably. But nevertheless, we've got an overpopulation problem of humans. So if we have more beavers to bring down the human population, I'm all right with that. And I think it's damn good news. You are listening to the Brum Picture Show on Brum Radio, and today we are honoured to have a very special celebrity guest. So, Hundreds of Beavers, which is a wonderful cult, silent slapstick,
black and white
comedy horror thing. It's an instant cult classic. And yes, it's been on tour with its star producer and co-writer Ryland Brickson Cole Tews. And for some reason, he decided to take time out of his day, on his day off in Birmingham, because he was at the Mockingbird Cinema for a couple of nights, to come and talk to us.
Yeah.
And he was really nice. It was
lovely.
Yeah, it was a really good interview, and I was really glad that he was able to come in. It was it was so nice, because that's the first time we've actually had a celebrity guest in
studio.
Yeah, in the studio, because last guest
Apart
we had
from me, obviously.
Well, of course, every week, yeah. But yes, of course, our last interview was with composer Graham Reynolds, and that was recorded online, and he could see Nadine but not hear her, and hear me and not see me. So it was a bit. I
think that's the best of both worlds, really, isn't it?
Well, yes, but so it was a bit of an unusual interview. So it was really refreshing to just have Ryland in the studio, like looking us in the eyes and stuff, and
Maestro Nadine Paul.
Yeah.
That's what he had.
Yeah, exactly. So without further ado, here is me and Nadine talking to Ryland Brickson Cole Tews. So we are very excited to be joined today by the co-writer, producer, and star of instant cult classic Hundreds of Beavers, Ryland Brickson Cole Tews. Welcome to the Brum Picture Show, Ryland. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. So you're touring Hundreds of Beavers at the moment, and you are here in Birmingham at the moment. So you've just done a night at the Mockingbird Cinema, and you're doing another one tomorrow. And today is your day off in Birmingham. So how are you finding England and Birmingham itself?
It's been wonderful. I've never been to the UK, and so this tour has given me an excuse to go explore your exotic lands and all of your ancient castles. Don't have a lot of castles in the States, so to go to a castle is like going to Disney World for me. I really enjoy castles.
Nice.
Anyways, but
that's good.
the tour itself has been going great. Yeah, we've had like 12 sellout screenings in a row, and we got another screening in Birmingham tomorrow night. And so far, I've only been here, 24 hours or something, so I haven't done a ton, but I'm staying at the Old Crown.
Oh, cool. That's a nice pub to stay in.
Oh, yeah. It's really cool. A lot of character. I hear it's haunted too, so that's a big plus.
A lot of pubs in England are haunted, to be fair. I think, the Old Crown's actually literally the oldest, isn't it? I think, in the country.
It's very old. So if you like your history...
Yeah.
You're staying in the right place.
Nice. And what's your favourite castle been so far?
Oh my goodness, it's a pretty loaded question. Probably I'd say Castle Coch.
Oh,
the one in Wales.
Oh, okay.
The Red Castle.
Nice.
Very pretty.
Nice.
Wales is a gorgeous country, very jagged and craggy and sort of ancient.
Absolutely.
The Welsh people are very, very nice as well.
Oh, that's good. I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that. Cool. So Hundreds of Beavers, obviously. We're big fans of the film, but for the unenlightened listeners out there, could you give us the elevator pitch for Hundreds of Beavers?
Yes. So Hundreds of Beavers is a 19th century fur trapping slapstick winter epic about a French fur trapper who has to go from zero to hero and become North America's greatest fur trapper. Except in this movie, all of the animals are played by humans in mascot costumes. So it's just a lot of, first of all, there's no talking in the movie. Mm-hmm. It's basically like a live action Looney Tunes with a lot of other inspirations thrown in there, but it's all black and white. It's done in a very, lo-fi style, but because of this lo-fi, low budget style that, enabled us to make a very big world.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a budget of $150,000, right? Is it eventually? Yeah. Because we always talk on the Brum Picture Show about Ty West, the film director, and how $1 million is a tiny budget, and you could make 10 films for a Ty West budget. So So it's like, do you think if you'd had a bigger budget, you would have done anything differently, or is it just that's the nature of the film that it's because you used Adobe After Effects and all that kind of stuff, so it's a proper DIY.
like if we had $150 million instead of 150,000, we probably just would have pocketed the rest.
Yeah.
Movie for 150,000.
A nice fee for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the Leonardo DiCaprio factor
That's right.
taking
Absolutely.
2/3 of a $200 million budget.
Exactly.
How did the project come about?
Well, like all great ideas, it started in a bar, and the director, Mike Cheslick, and I, we were at the world premiere of our first feature film called Lake Michigan Monster. And we were just in a bar hanging out during the world premiere, and we just sort of started hatching this idea for the next movie. And it started as a very small kernel of an idea just about like, hey, let's make a movie set in the winter time with snowball fights and sled chases and obviously mascots. Because it is a universal truth that mascots falling down is inherently funny to everyone in the world. So we thought we'll just try to make a small movie like our previous one. But as the writing phase went on, it kind of ballooned out of proportion into the monstrosity you see today. So yeah, it just went from this small little idea and it just blew up. And yeah, the first feature, we didn't have a lot of money, but we got a little bit more money for Beavers. And we just got a lot of help from family and friends, basically. There are a few, believe it or not, there are a few film professionals on Hundreds of Beavers, but for a lot of it, it's just like a bunch of buddies wearing mascot costumes.
Yeah. So what was it like? So you shot in rural Wisconsin, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was that like? So, I mean, all that snow, that's real snow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I'd say about 80% of it was shot outdoors in the wintertime in northern Wisconsin, in northern Michigan. And even the stuff that we shot on green screen, most of that was shot outside too.
Oh, well.
We would just, be outside of the cabin in the snow and just put the green tarp up against a van and then just shoot because, first of all, it's cheaper and we're very cheap. And also you get the actual realistic natural lighting when you shoot outside, and you can position the camera in such a way and do different, more interesting shots than you can in a green screen studio. And on top of that, you get real breath.
Yeah.
And you get real, like me walking through the snow, you get real like snow trudging and stuff. So even stuff on green screen was done outside, a lot of it anyways.
Wow. So that must have been a struggle, a little bit hard work.
It was tough. We shot over a couple winters, and we did some shooting here and there during the year as well. But yeah, it came to like 12 or 13 weeks of total shooting.
Wow. So was that always the plan to do it in wintertime, like for aesthetics and everything of the film? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it just harkens back to our like childhood and having these like these winters that were so fun and memorable. And now I look back on winter and it's like a nightmare, after shooting this movie. No, but it's, so it was always the thought, because we also thought that would sort of separate ourselves from other movies, because there's not a lot of movies, let alone small budget indie movies, trying to make big, grand action adventure movies in the snow.
Yeah.
It's like really hard.
No, and with the black and white and everything, it really makes the aesthetic of the film. I suppose shooting in the summer as well would have been very difficult for the people in the costumes. In the beaver costumes.
We did have one shoot that was actually in the summertime, and that was extremely hot.
Yeah.
We had like one oscillating fan going.
Oh man. Sounds fun. So you mentioned influenced by people have compared it to Looney Tunes, and of course it is influence of silent film, Buster Keaton, all that kind of stuff. And people have described it as Looney Tunes directed by David Lynch. Which, do you think that's a fair comparison, or do you think they just haven't seen what you've actually influenced by?
Well, that's I've never heard that one before, but that one's pretty. I think it's pretty apt. I don't know. There's so many influences. I mean, you just mentioned like the silent comedians of old, but then like even going into like the 80s and the early 90s, like Jackie Chan, his Hong Kong stuff is so good because he did action comedy so well with props and stuff, and then I don't know. Beyond that, obviously, there's like the whole video game aesthetic too. It plays like a role-playing game or something, especially during the second act. And we haven't really seen that before in a movie, and I think that's kind of part of the reason why we challenged ourselves to let's use the language of cinema and combine it with the language of video games.
Yeah.
We just haven't really seen that before. And for some reason, people really like watching people play video games these days.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I watch them.
No offense.
Yeah.
I find it a little strange.
I agree. I find it weird.
No, it depends who it is. There's a Scottish comedian over here called Limmy, and he used to do sketch shows and everything, and like write little short stories. But now his whole career is just playing on Twitch, and he's just like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Monday to Friday, he's there playing video games.
Yeah, no. So I mean, So we're very happy that there's an audience out there for it, because that's exactly what like the whole second act of our movie is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then other inspirations. I don't know. Like we've always been inspired by like Monty Python and Evil Dead and
because I got the Evil Dead vibes, because that's in itself influenced by Three Stooges and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Three Stooges, totally. Yeah, I mean, America's Funniest Home Videos, Jackass. But then there's stuff like the 20 guys from like the 20 Stars, like Chaplin and Keaton. But then also like there's like an old Ernest Lubitsch movie called The Wildcat from like 1922. And if you watch that movie, it just is like our aesthetic. It's just like the blown out, it's like a wintertime movie, and it's like blown out whites, and they have like the different silhouetting and stuff and irises like around the lens and stuff. It's just like we just stole a lot of stuff from other movies. we just a bunch of frauds.
That's the best way to go about it, you know.
There were parts that even reminded me of like Star Wars, like inside the Beaver's Fortress.
Oh yeah,
I think it's the way you created that sense of space, because obviously, like you said, a lot of it was green screen. So I could see little. If you think of like inside the Death Star, and they would have like little people up here, it just looked really huge, but a lot of it was kind of matte paintings and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Were there any particular sort of tricks that you took from films? Were there any films that you kind of studied to kind of help you build? Because you really built that world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we had, all sorts of different influences and stuff. I mean, the Beaver Lodge is kind of just one of those things where, like it's like the Death Star, or like, I don't know, what's another good example? Like Castle of Cagliostro or something. Anytime a movie has a big infiltration scene at the end into a big base, I really like that a lot, And so, that was just taken from several different movies. And then we always feel like we owe the audience a chase scene. So like, we had to have like the chase scene in there, and I don't know. A lot of the action stuff was, like I kind of said earlier, a lot of it, the staging and stuff is, there's one fight in particular that has this where all the staging is based off like Hong Kong staging and how to shoot it properly and stuff like that. And we totally rip off Ocarina of Time.
There's a bit of bit of temple run in there as well, isn't it? When you're all going like running along. So going back to the video game thing, like because I thought that what really was like an interesting juxtaposition of periods. So like, was that always kind of your intention going into it? Because there's even bits of like Red Dead Redemption 2 in there with the merchant and all that kind of stuff, and the Mario 8-bit sounds.
No,
was that always the plan?
That was always the plan. Yeah, we always. I mean, we really like role playing games, like you said, like or like Red Dead Redemption, or like The Witcher or Skyrim. I just clocked so many hours of Witcher and Skyrim. But then beyond that too, like some of like the mechanics like of games like Super Mario Galaxy 2. Not 1. Forget about 1. It's all about 2. A lot of the mechanics in that game heavily influenced Mike when he was doing the storyboarding and stuff. But I don't know. A lot of games.
I wanted to ask a bit about pre-production actually, because it feels so meticulously done. Was everything storyboarded? Was there any room for like improvising on set? Did you find some of the gags as you went, or was it all really planned out in advance?
Well, when people watch the movie, they're going to think this was all improvised, and that's not the case, believe it or not. It was all very meticulously storyboarded, and there really wasn't a lot of room for improvising at all. There's a few moments here and there, but really not, because The crew was so small. I mean, sometimes it would just be Mike and I shooting. But like a typical day, there'd be like 4 or 5 guys on quote unquote set. And then, you only have so many guys, and it's so cold out and the snow is so deep. And if you have to go to a location and like lug in a bunch of heavy equipment and heavy oversized props and costumes, and then you have to like set up the tent and put like the propane heater inside, like there's all this stuff you got to do before you even start shooting the movie. So we would always go in with like, here are the 15 or 20 boards we would shoot, like that we're going to shoot today. Once we get this, we're done, because also the sun starts going down so early. Like the sun starts going down like 4 or 4:30, and then you like lose the light and you can't even shoot anymore. So we were just very focused on like, okay, here are the boards we're shooting today. There's no time for improvising. We got to get these done, because also when it is that cold and there is that much snow and you're wearing all that clothing too, you also just move slower too, And there's no actual formal screenplay. It's just all drawings. It's all storyboards in a binder.
Yeah, I read that you might were influenced by George Miller and his process of just that meticulous, like, these are the shots.
That was another actually influence, for like during the chase scene too. That was our tiny little Fury Road.
Yeah, nice. So we've taken the film on tour. You're doing like quite an extensive tour, which I think is quite a rare thing for a Q&A tour. I think it's the kind of thing we should have more of. So do you think it's something that will help the future of cinema as a cinema going thing? Because you've rejected distribution deals for the film because of the lack of theatrical window, am I right? So
yeah, we did a real hybrid distribution model where it was kind of like we kind of picked and choose what distributors we were going to go with, like a la carte kind of, usually you just get a distributor and they kind of like, that's your distributor.
Yeah.
But, we got like a sales agent who is selling it to different territories. But then like we have the US Canadian rights, like theatrical rights, and hired our own booker for that instead of getting a distributor. And, we have a different distributor for like our Blu-rays in North America that we do overseas. And it's just kind of all over the place because we wanted to give ourselves the best chance of making money because we felt like we owed it to our investors to make them money. I think there's just so many indie films these days that don't care about really making money, and we do. Like if someone's given us a lot of money to make a silly beaver movie, the least we can do is try our hardest to try to like get their money back. You know? So that's the distribution side of it, and then the tour side of it is just like, I think what you have to do if you're an indie filmmaker is, just try to bring the circus to town. And it's nothing new. We're not like reinventing the wheel here. Like people were doing vaudeville acts back in the day. That's like what this is basically, is you take your movie on tour and you do like a little stand-up, little intro that's funny, and you do your Q&A at the end. And, before the show, you got your mascots, walking around, interacting with people, taking pictures. And then like during the intro, you're doing a little skit, with beavers and dogs and horses, and then at the end, you're doing another skit and you're doing a really fun and lively Q&A and stuff. And I don't know, it's not like we're doing anything that's that sophisticated. I mean, you guys, if you've seen the movie, the costumes are not sophisticated. They're like pretty bad. Never been washed, by the way. But yeah, you just, I think if you eventize these things a little bit more, you'll get more people in the theater. Yeah, it's not like going to a rock concert. It is at the end of the day still like a movie, but like the movie's so fun that if you can eventize it just a little bit, and people will say, hey, if I'm going to a Hundreds of Beavers screening, I'm going to have a good time. Like, it's not going to be like any other movie screening I've ever been in. And that's the kind of thing we wanted to go for, sort of like a Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know, or like seeing like The Room or something. And it starts getting this cult status, and people start dressing up and doing certain ritualistic things during the screening. And that's kind of where Beavers is going at now too. So that all started because we didn't really know how people were going to react to this movie. You know, it's a black and white, no dialogue movie that's an hour and 45 minutes, and there's mascots and there's no stars. It's like, how are you going to market this movie? So we tried a whole lot of stuff, but the biggest thing that really stuck with people was showing up at screenings and making them lively and fun, and bringing the mascots there and doing like wrestling and stuff in the theater. Just people like cartoon violence, and this is basically live action cartoon violence. Yeah. So
I was going to say, I love the inventiveness of some of the violence in it, with the, you know, because it's quite gory, really, but it's, you know, bits of polystyrene and all the like fuzzy innards. Like, was there ever a point where you were going to go more graphic with the gore, or was it just always going to be that kind of style? Like,
we always wanted to keep it like kid friendly, you know. Like, I know it's like technically, what would the rating be here? Like 12?
12A. 12A.
I think technically on the States it's like PG-13. But like, there's so many kids who have seen the movie and love it so much. And I know there's like a couple things in the movie that probably aren't kid appropriate. But for the most part, we didn't want to make it all gory and bloody and stuff. You juxtapose, you have the sounds of blood and gore and tearing and ripping, but then
the sound design is incredible.
We just thought that was fun. Our sound designer and mixer Bob Barodo, this was like his Sistine Chapel. I mean, like, he really elevates the whole movie. He really makes up for our poor filmmaking.
That's cool. But I loved all that stuff. And also your father, Wayne, did the music, or a lot of the music.
He did he wrote and performed the opening song of the film, and then like the reprise that comes back like a half an hour later, and then he also made like a lot of props for the movie too.
Oh, nice.
And so everyone was kind of doing a lot of different jobs on this movie. Yeah. You know, there wasn't usually just one person, you know, I was on set just to play like the raccoon. It's like, no, you're going to play the raccoon, and you're going to make a prop, and you're going to lug things into the woods, and you're going to, you know, rub my feet when they get frostbite, you know, whatever it might be. But he was a huge help. And he also was in our first movie, Lake Michigan Monster, and he did the closing song for that one as well. So,
nice.
He's much more talented than I am.
I've loved the marketing as well, sort of the different homages to different films. So there's lots of posters that sort of riff on everything from The Substance to Parasite. Do you have a favourite? And how important was that marketing to kind of get the word out there and get people interested in the film?
Yeah, we actually just released another one today, because we've done 3 posts now for us, 3 like parody posts of being in the UK, and they've all been Beatles album covers with beavers. Beatles, beavers.
It's a perfect marriage.
It's a perfect marriage, yeah. I think my favorite one that the marketing team did was the Monty Python and the Holy Grail one. I thought we might repost that one since we're here. That one's pretty funny. But it's just like, again, not only just going to, like I was talking before, just like going to these screenings and make them lively and fun, like bringing the circus to town. But also, the marketing team is called SRH, and they're based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where a lot of us are from. And they just basically wanted to make movies. And so once they saw our first movie, they said, hey, we want to come on board and help you guys make a movie. So we kind of lucked out, because a lot of indie films struggle because they don't know how to market their film. And that's like a big expense for a small indie film, to like hire a marketing agency that you hope will do a lot of, you know, work and a lot of good job. Like, they really understand the project, and they're really going to, you know, go the extra mile for you. We kind of lucked out because our producing partners ran an ad agency. And so all of their employees would just like make these parody posts. And because it's an SRH movie, it didn't cost anything else. So it was great. But I think that was a huge thing online, and that started to kind of go viral a little bit, of all these various parody posters, which they made like, I don't know, like over 100 of them. They're all very good. What was the question?
No, you've answered it perfectly. I think it's so creative as well. It really fits in with the tone of the film, that kind of eclectic, sort of creative, sort of unique take on things that we've seen before, but not in this way.
Yeah, and I don't know, the magic of Photoshop these days, you could just whip these things out like nothing. It's crazy. But yeah, those parody posters, it's so simple. Like, it's such a simple thing. Oh, it's Terminator, but with a beaver. Like, that's funny, you know? So I don't know, you do 100 of those and you kind of get people on your side rooting for you.
In a way, like your whole production and marketing and everything, you're kind of a great advert for Adobe, really. It's like, After Effects and all that.
All we ever talk, I mean, like, that's what Mike always, I mean, he's always saying about, you know, he did 1,500 effect shots on the movie, and he's always saying to young filmmakers, just learn After Effects. Yeah. He says that, and I tell them, no, make sure your lead protagonist in your film wears a big hat. Because then you can go to film festivals wearing the hat, and people will come up to you and ask, hey, what's with the hat? And then you can tell them, well, I have a movie at this film festival.
I'm taking notes.
Great promotion.
That's equally sound advice. Yeah, so it was two years of post-production, right? Getting the effects together. And
I think it's even one, two. No, I mean, it was like almost over 2.5 years. Oh, yeah, because we premiered we premiered 25 years ago. September of 2022 in Fantastic Fest, and the movie, we were still shooting things earlier that month.
Oh wow!
So yeah, like we cobbled together the final version of the movie more or less like 2 weeks before it premiered. So,
no way, because I was reading you shot like mainly 2019 to 2020, right?
It was winter 2020, winter 2021, but then again we had other shoots going on during the year as well.
So did COVID wind up playing a factor at all?
No. We didn't. I mean, people kept talking about this coronavirus. Meanwhile, we were busy drinking Corona beers up north. There was no one around. That's the thing. There's already, it's like deserted up north, like during the winter time. But then during COVID, it was great because it was just so desolate. There was no one up there. So like the whole northern part of the state was like our like back lot to shoot in because there was nobody there. And
so it was an advantage.
Yeah.
We're glad coronavirus happened.
Yes. That's where I was trying to go with this.
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, sorry, with the snowiness, I also got Cannibal the Musical vibes. Just for general, was that an influence at the back of your mind? Or?
Yeah. Cannibal the Musical for sure. And anything Trey Parker and Matt Stone have done have just been brilliant.
Yeah.
They were always a big inspiration.
Have they been in touch?
No, unfortunately not. You know, we've been in touch. We've met a lot of cool people since Beavers. There's been a lot of cool recognizable names who have seen Beavers now at this point. I don't think they have. But like, for instance, I don't know, like we went on this podcast, Joe Dante's podcast.
Oh, cool.
And Joe Dante, man, he's just great. And now I don't know, like, I know it's so now we're doing like a 35 millimeter run of the movie in the States because they put Beavers on 35 millimeter film.
Nice.
So, you know, it's screening at like the Tarantino's New Beverly.
Oh, wicked. Yeah.
So hopefully Tarantino will just stumble in and see it, and I think he'd like it.
Yeah, I think so. Will. Yeah, definitely.
Probably isn't enough blood for him, but you know.
Imagine the Tarantino version of Hundreds of Beavers.
I've got a question from Havana, who's our work experience student this week. She wanted to know what made you go with the lack of dialogue, and did that make it more difficult to convey the plot because everything has to be told visually?
I think we just wanted to challenge ourselves not to do any dialogue because everyone does dialogue, and you don't typically see a movie these days in particular where there's no talking, because the thing is, people forget it's called a movie, not a talkie. And I don't know. We're just trying to challenge ourselves to make a movie without dialogue, which is tough because we like doing a lot of dialogue in our movies. So there were times when we would like be like, can we just like say what he means here, or can we just say the thing now? It's like, no, we have to like show it, you know, which is just a big challenge, but we wanted to separate ourselves from everyone else and what they were doing. Yeah. So we thought that'd be a very unique way to do it. And then it also made the movie universal. Mm-hmm. So the movie's played all over the world and continues to. And I mean, I think it's played over over 75 film festivals, and now it's getting distribution everywhere because there's no talking. There's no language barrier. Yeah. You know, there was like...
You say no at one point, don't you?
I mean, there's here and there,
That's kind of universal.
The subtitles person, whoever... What's that job even called? I don't know.
Subtitler.
Subtitler, probably. Yeah, no. They there's a lot of closed captions because there's a lot of sounds in our movie. Yeah.
And there is one scene... Am I right? It's just the one scene where you actually have like the title cards of dialogue come up.
It just happens at one time. So I mean, it's not a lot, so it makes it very universal. Which again, that's just another reason why no talking. Yeah. Would we ever do that again? Maybe in 10 years for 200s of beavers.
So it's going to be thousands of beavers.
No. So you need a stupid, nonsensical title for a stupid, nonsensical movie. Yeah. Because Thousands of Beavers would be what you'd think it should be called. But if you call it 200s of Beavers, that doesn't even make sense.
No, I think you're right. Genius.
So do you think maybe 10 years down the line there'll be a chance of that?
Yeah, when our next projects flop horribly, we'll go back to our bread and butter.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask actually, do you think is there a scope for a Hundreds of Beavers video game?
Oh yeah, we've talked to different. I don't know where that is in development right now, but we've definitely talked to different companies about wanting to do it. Yeah, I mean, if it were up to me, it would just be like, just give it to like Bethesda and have them do an open world Beavers universe. I don't know. I don't know where it's in development right now, but we're talking to some people, and I think there's some indie game developers who could do a really good job.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool that the conversations are taking place.
Oh, yeah. We'll see if it goes anywhere, but I hope it does.
I mean, it has to, really. It just seems, perfect.
I know. It's basically a video game already.
It's meant to be.
Have you just mentioned future projects? Mm-hmm. Are these going to be in the same vein of Hundreds of Beavers, or have you been like completely turned off that style? You want to do something different?
Well, we've already done the black and white kind of what we call the grain train movies already, which are like grainy, scratchy black and white 16 millimeter aesthetic. So I mean, I really like that aesthetic. I just think we want to move into something that's already more commercially viable. Mm. That's the thing about Beavers. It just took like a long time to like convince people to watch this movie even. And then it even took even longer to get like festivals and like distributors to be like, at first they're all just like, this is weird, But then everyone was like, no, it's really funny. And then they're like, I guess it is funny. Okay. But we want to like make some movies now that are more just like immediately like, oh, look, it has color and talking, So yeah, we're doing a couple right now we're working on, one of which is, do you guys know the story of D.B. Cooper?
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
So there hasn't really been a movie really about D.B. Cooper. There's been some documentaries, but it's always really interested me. So I wanted to make a movie that's sort of like, you take the D.B. Cooper story and use that sort of as a framework to make a highly embellished action, adventure, comedy, mystery, horror, romance.
That's amazing.
Just basically like, who was this guy? Yeah. Where did he come from? Where did he go? Why did he want this money? What happened after he jumped out of the plane? All these kind of questions. So I want to make this, and we're already like working very hard on that. So I want to make that. And then we're also working on another picture, which is basically just Rush Hour with vampires.
Oh, nice. Oh, man. We're big
we love vampires, don't we?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Did you like Nosferatu?
Still haven't seen it.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
You should go see it.
I know. Well, it's funny because we made Lake Michigan Monster first, and then Robert Eggers made The Lighthouse.
Oh, I see.
And it looked just like our movie. Everyone said, "Oh, The Lighthouse."
Was that a sensitive subject then?
Yeah.
Screw you, Robert Eggers.
Yeah, break his legs. But no, that was funny because then we were making Beavers, and then all of a sudden he made The Northman.
Right, yeah.
And we're like, oh, we're making a Northman. And then he made his vampire movie, and now we're making Rush Hour with Vampires. So it's like, I don't know how this happened.
Some kind of psychic neural link between you or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds
Collaboration
exciting,
coming up
yeah.
maybe after the bitterness results. Oh, nice one. No, that's that DB Cooper idea sounds great. Yeah, because it's strange there hasn't been a film of that already, and it seems like it's just such a fascinating story, isn't it?
It really is. It's just very mysterious and strange.
Yeah.
And and so we kind of want to make it sort of like, because it happened in like 1971, too, so we kind of want to make it have that sort of like Sean Connery, Roger Moore era Bond feel.
Right,
too,
yeah.
with that sort of like art direction and aesthetic as well, and all that cool old music and stuff. So
Nice.
yeah.
Exciting. And you've also got a VHS release coming up of Hundreds of Beavers, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I have no idea, actually. I was just as surprised as everyone else. Like, I'm usually kept in on the loop on most things, but that kind of came out of nowhere. And at first I thought it was like someone just like was making this up, or like it was like a bootleg or something that someone posted about. But no, it's a legitimate operation apparently, and it looks great.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kids love analog these days. I mean, we're part of a community cinema, and I've seen other community cinemas do screenings of VHS tape. So maybe that's that's something else we could think about, the VHS
the
screening.
VHS tour. Yeah. Put that theater next to Tarantino's.
Don't even put it in a theater. Just have it like one of those like those like TVs like when you're in like grade school, where it's like the TV and then you got like the VHS. Like the VCR underneath, and you like
they wheel it in. Yeah.
Okay, Hundreds of Beavers, everyone. You just put it on there, put it on the TV. Everyone's just in a classroom watching.
I'd love to see that. The classroom tour.
Classroom tour, yeah.
Oh, man. See, as younger listeners out there don't know what we're talking about.
No, kids love analog these days.
They don't remember the wheelie TVs.
No, they probably don't. No.
Just in general, like being on tour, have you know, is there much of a difference between the UK and US audiences, or because we're notoriously reserved, we can be.
Well, you guys are a little bit more reserved, but honestly, like, you know, I don't know. I mean, like, especially once the movie's over with, like, people are very, you know, I don't know. They're very enthusiastic about it, you know. Even before, I mean, like when I'm up there like doing an intro or something, people are really into it. I think too it helps that like all of these screenings have been sellouts too, and a lot of these people have already seen the movie too, so they're just excited to see it on the big screen, you know. Like, or they bring their friends along. Oh, you got to see this, you know. There's not like there are some, which is great, but there aren't that many going into it totally blind. When that does happen, that's awesome because they didn't know what they were getting themselves into.
Yeah, that'll be the best film to see blind.
This thing.
Yeah.
But no, I would say there's not a huge difference. There's just a lot of, I think in general, people who come to see this movie, and then after seeing it, like during the Q&As, people are like really fired up. You know? And they're really looking forward to exiting through the gift shop and buying all of our merchandise so we can pay our bar tabs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it must be. Yeah, I was saying to you in the cafe earlier, is like I watched it on Amazon, unfortunately, but I was just thinking this is a film made for the cinema, and it's just like it's really something it's an experience, and it's just, you know, being in a dark room and just, you know, just focusing in on that.
Yeah,
like it's
no, absolutely.
necessary.
And it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, if people are going to keep, because it's been going in theaters now for over a year, and it's available to rent and stream and buy on Blu-ray and VHS for some reason, and people message us about like, when they come into Laserdisc. But like, so it's available out there, but still it's amazing that people still want to see it on the big screen. And there's a big demand for it because everyone keeps, you know, showing up, and we got we're like selling out all these. So as long as people keep showing up in the theater, we'll just keep playing it in the theater. And we'll just try to show up in person as much as we want because it's a blast. It's a blast talking with people and answering their questions. And if we can, bring in mascots to the screening and doing, hijinks and stuff like that. It's just a lot of fun. So it's a very, we're very aware of the very unique position we're in. So we're just trying to enjoy it as much as we can for as long as it lasts.
Yeah. So are you optimistic about the future of the theatrical experience and the cinemas in general?
I am. I hope that more people do it. I don't know. I understand it's not everyone's like shtick to like, I get it. Like if you're a filmmaker, you're usually not also like a showman, like Ringling Brothers Circus, it's like, they're like different. And I understand that, but I just think you can do something to eventize your screen, like indie film screenings, and get people excited to come to your movie in particular. Like, yes, at the end of the day, your movie has to stand up on itself. Like the movie itself still has to be good. That's the main attraction, the actual movie. But I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully there are some other teams out there who do their own sort of fun eventizing stuff. Cause I don't know, it's fun. And it's a good way to keep theaters going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hope it becomes more of a trend because it's really cool.
Yeah.
So
IndieWire called it the gold standard of micro distribution.
Yeah,
so
there we go.
People be looking at you as a model now for their own films.
Well, that was very nice of them to say. And again, I want to also thank our producing partners, SRH, because they were a big part of that as well. Obviously, and like I said before, when you have an indie film, even if you have the best indie film there is out there, these days you still need to have like really good marketing for it too. And so even though it was like a huge undertaking and it took forever to make this monstrosity, it also took a lot of work to market the movie as well. So SRH did great. Everyone should hire SRH for their indie film.
If you haven't caught the film in cinemas, Ryland will be taking the Hundreds of Beavers circus around the UK. You're heading to Liverpool next, aren't you?
Yes, Liverpool. Then Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Then Manchester 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah, nice.
At the Cultplex. They have like all 3 sold out, I think. And then where else? Somewhere else. And then York.
Nice. Yeah, it's quite
Leeds and York. And then we'll be in Scotland. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you're touring until May, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. Our final leg of the tour is in Ireland. Our final screening is May 10th in Dublin. So going to be here a while. Yeah. Going to see like all 4 seasons.
Yeah. So listeners, even though you may have missed the Birmingham screenings by the time this goes out, there is plenty of opportunity to watch Hundreds of Beavers on the big screen across the country. And seriously do it.
Grab your tickets now.
Yeah. Even if you've seen it already.
Out.
Yeah, and if you want to follow along, I mean, you can always follow us on, Instagram. Because we, there's all the tour updates and stuff, and you can see pictures and all the other stuff that's going on, and all these silly parody posts we're talking about. So it's a pretty fun page.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Please do that. So I guess, we'll let you go, but let's finish things up with, we're going to put you on the spot with a random question. Basically, is there an underrated film that you think people need to know about that not enough people have heard of that you'd like to recommend to our listeners? I know it always puts people on the spot.
I would say underrated film. Oh, I'll name one that no one's seen. It's called Darkon.
Oh, okay. Darkon.
It's called Darkon.
Okay.
Yeah, just Darkon. And it's a LARPing documentary.
Oh.
It came out in like 2006. And it's just really funny. It just shows like the in-game. It documents like the in-game characters and like things that are going on in their like LARPing world, and then it also shows the people outside in the real world, and it's just like a really kind of interesting, funny juxtaposition as to like who these people are in the real world and like who they are in game.
Wow.
And I don't know, it's just for some reason they got some really good characters in there too. it's just a lot of fun, and it's one of those that like nobody except my friends know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. That is exactly answered that question perfectly.
Yeah, we'll be checking that out.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, Ryland, thanks so much for coming in and joining us on the Brum Picture Show. Wish you all the best with the tour and whatnot. And yes, everyone, go watch Hundreds of Beavers.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So there you go. Wasn't that a nice interview, Nadine?
Yeah, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I think I was really interested as a filmmaker because they've done everything independently. And they've brought back this roadshow format of getting the film out there. And yeah, he definitely had a different formula for success there. So I think a lot of up and coming filmmakers will see that as a blueprint.
Inspirational stuff. So yes, do go and try and catch one of these screenings of Hundreds of Beavers on tour. It sounds like a very fun night out indeed. And I was looking at the pictures of Lee from the Mockingbird with a giant beaver, and he seemed to be having a nice time. So yes,
Exactly, yeah.
So there you go.
Fun for all the family.
Yeah.
As long as they're 12 and over.
Yes. Or accompanied by a guardian. But yes, thank you, Mr. Tews, for joining us. So anyway, from Hundreds of Beavers to One Monkey. That's right.
Ooh.
The Monkey, the new film from Osgood Perkins, the director of Long Legs. So, yes. Now, obviously, we hated Long Legs. So you may ask why we went to see the new film from the director of Long Legs. And that's because we're very open-minded people.
That's because Osgood Perkins has learned a lesson that Hundreds of Beavers has learned and has very good marketing.
Yeah.
The problem is,
once again,
his films don't live up to the marketing.
Once again, we were taken in by a very good trailer. Because, obviously, seeing this, I was like, okay, this looks fun because, Long Legs was unintentionally hilarious. And then here we have a film that seems to be
a comedy.
Actively hilarious. I was like, surely, what could go wrong? Surely this will be entertaining. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't funny, was it?
No, it wasn't. So, yes, this is based on a Stephen King short story, and it's, a classic tale, kind of monkey's paw kind of thing in a way. It's about this haunted toy monkey with drumsticks, not cymbals, because Toy Story owned the copyright for a monkey with cymbals.
Okay.
Apparently. So that's what it was in the original story, but they had to change it. And anyway, the point is, it's this cursed item that if you turn the key, someone will die.
But you can't choose.
But you can't choose, and you don't know when the drumstick's going to come down and the person's going to die. So, that's kind of a classic
very
creepy,
standard,
Stephen King-y kind of idea.
As far as he didn't buy it off a market stall in Marrakesh.
Exactly. So yes, and I think obviously that's quite a silly concept, but also can be quite a scary one. And I think for me, the fundamental problem with this is it actually tries to be a comedy, not a horror with comedy elements. And I think that is a mistake because the comedy just falls flat and it's just juvenile and just
I think the actors themselves, I wouldn't say any of these actors are bad actors, but they're not known necessarily for their comedy prowess. And I think had he, cast some people who were, obviously the script is part of it as well, but I think some people are just funny in their bones, aren't they? Some people could read the phone book and make it funny. And unfortunately, Theo James, who I think is a great actor, my mum's a big fan, just fell flat for me. Wasn't funny, took it too seriously. Didn't work.
Because I think that the fundamental problem is that he should never have been directed to be funny, and none of these people should have been directed to be funny because
I don't think they did. I think that's the problem. They were playing it so straight.
Well, for me, I think there were lots of bits where it was filled with lines that are clearly trying to be funny lines. And characters that just don't seem like real people. And I think that's the fundamental problem is when you're doing a comedy horror or a horror comedy that's based around such a silly concept of a cursed monkey toy, you need to play that straight because you need to believe that these events are happening to actual real life people. And the people in here, they're just not real. So I think the first moment I realized something was amiss when there's this comedy priest that turns up in a funeral scene and just says stuff that we just never would be said by anyone in the real world. And there's also like a policewoman at a crime scene who's just saying all these flippant things like, oh, it's like spaghetti up there or whatever. Which, you know, a policewoman would never say that. And then you've got their mother, the main character's mother, just saying ridiculously nihilistic things to her children that no one would ever say.
Exactly.
And it's just like these aren't real people.
And lines that are very obviously lines from a movie.
Yeah.
Like make like an egg and scramble.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just completely undermines the whole concept, because for you to be scared by a toy monkey that's killing people, you need to believe in the people that this thing is happening to. So it should be, you have a silly concept and the humor should come from real people reacting to an absurd situation. And here we've got absurd people reacting to an absurd situation. So you're like, why should I care about any of this? This is stupid.
I think the opposite. I think it needed to lean in and be zanier.
Oh, no. Oh,
I think it should have been zanier.
Interesting.
Sillier. I think they should have got some actual comedians in there.
Oh,
I
interesting.
think Bill Hader would have smashed it.
Yeah.
Amy Poehler, maybe some of those type of people.
Yes, but that should be more in their performances rather than the actual lines, because I think that's because it was clearly such a comedy script, and I don't think that worked. Because if you think the best comedy horrors, like American Werewolf in London,
Lost Boys,
or Gremlins, even, these are ridiculous things happening to people who are still, even though it's kind of heightened and comedic, they're still ultimately playing it straight. Like you still believe, you still believe in like that woman who's in Gremlins, that her father falling down the
chimney,
getting stuck down the chimney. That scene is played so straight that becomes funny in itself. But if that speech would have happened in this film, you'd just be like, I don't believe you. It's just like it's the way that it's pitched. It's just like I just think it completely mishandles the tone.
It's neither one thing nor the other, is it?
Yeah,
that's the problem. It's not really. It's not funny because a comedy should be funny.
Yeah,
but neither does the horror work for me. I mean, the CGI blood.
Yeah, too much CGI.
There was some real. There was obviously some blood bags on some occasions.
And some inventive kills, but again...
Well, here's the thing that really spoilt it for me.
Yeah.
So right before we watched this film, there was a trailer for a new Final Destination film, which is the king of inventive kills.
Yeah.
Okay, not all the Final Destination films are good. Most of them aren't very good, but the first one is especially good. And that has characters that you actually care about and feel real or real enough for a horror movie. And so having that trailer right before this film just reminds you how inventive and fresh that take was when Final Destination first came out, and how many times they've done it and done it well. And the kills in this, although they were sort of, what should we say, intricate, they weren't as elaborate and they weren't as shocking and interesting. At some point, a swarm of wasps fly into somebody's mouth and that kills them.
Oh yeah, that was again, that was a major issue for me. There were lots of like logical inconsistencies with the film. Because at first it's like, these deaths are just tragic accidents that just could have happened for real, in real life. But it's just, we don't know. Did the monkey do it? But then when you've got things like the wasp nest bit that you're talking about, that is so stupid that it can only be a supernatural force making that happen, and that just completely undermines the point of the other kills in it. And it's just stupid. It just doesn't see what it's trying to do properly.
Having said that, some good points. It was very well. I think it was very well crafted on the whole. I think the cinematography was great, and the editing, the transitions. Like you can see, it was made with the love of cinema, and I think it will appeal to a certain crowd. There were people chuckling along in the cinema. There were bits that we enjoyed. It wasn't, but it just didn't. I think it's the tone didn't work for us, and it didn't. It was kind of forgettable.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, once again, I'd say a misfire from Osgood Perkins,
Yeah.
but knowing us, we'll still go and see his next film.
I can't wait.
Just to see how mediocre it is.
Just to have an opinion.
Just to have an opinion.
I can't wait for the marketing to tell us this is the best horror
I know.
or comedy or horror comedy
Yeah.
that has ever existed.
But yeah, I don't get him. He's a 51-year-old man, and both of his films that I've seen so far just seem like they're written by a teenager.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. Yeah, so it tries to be edgy and nihilistic, and it just comes across as childish and stupid.
Didn't work for us.
So no, another miss from Osgood Perkins.
But if you loved Longlegs, hey.
Yeah, there you
not
go.
Not that it's the same tone.
No.
But if you disagreed with us on that, maybe you'll disagree with us on this as well.
Let us know. Email us at pictureshow@brumradio.com. Tell us how much you disagree with us.
I think it's something for the Salem's Lot crowd because we didn't enjoy that either. I would say it was slightly better than Salem's Lot.
I don't know. I actually think Salem's Lot was a better King adaptation. I don't know.
I think it was better crafted.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. Just quickly, we were talking about Hundreds of Beavers earlier, which is obviously influenced by a video game. So, of course, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about Grand Theft Hamlet, which has just come out on Mubi, and that is very much inspired by a video game. In fact, it's kind of about a video game. It's a documentary film shot entirely in Grand Theft Auto Online. It came about through two out-of-work actors, Sam Crane and Mark Overstein, and they were obviously put out of work during COVID, and they interacted with each other online through GTA Online. And as they were doing this, they decided to try and put on a production of Hamlet in GTA. And I think, it's really worth watching. So it's out on Mubi at the moment. And at first I thought it was just going to be the production that they put on of Hamlet in GTA Online. But actually it's about how they put it together and how it all came about. But mainly it's about loneliness during the pandemic and how people have come together through this online game. But it's also about how people behave online, and of course triumphing over adversity, because I don't know if you know much about Grand Theft Auto Online. Like, it's just people running amok and just shooting each other. So actually trying to hold auditions and stage a production of Hamlet within this game, it's quite a difficult thing to do. And that's kind of what the film is about. They're trying to do rehearsals, and then some random person online will come in and shoot everybody. And then, that's it.
That's where the world's heading.
Yeah, and that is where the world's heading. So it's really interesting. And it's as I say, it's very much about loneliness. And it's like all the different people that they meet to come to an audition. They've all got their little backstories. And I thought, a really interesting watch. I will say, like, some of the emotional beats in the film seem a little bit staged. There's some tiffs like between the main actors and like one of the actors and his wife, who's also the co-writer and co-director of this film. So there's bits in there that they just seem kind of staged and forced and rehearsed. And I don't know whether they've had these real arguments and then decided to try and replicate them for the documentary, or whether they're just quite stilted people in real life. I don't know. But and obviously you'll get a lot more out of it if you're into Grand Theft Auto and Hamlet. I
don't think I'd enjoy it.
And I think, as the film says, there's a very small overlap in the Venn diagram of those two things. I enjoyed it quite a lot, and I'd recommend you watch it. It's just interesting seeing a film that's shot entirely in a video game. It's just all screen captured. Like, it's literally, that's the entire film. So this is
where we're heading.
This is where we're heading. Well, it's been a thing for a while.
I think I might become a novelist for the future film.
But just the fact that they got the rights to it, because obviously people have been doing this stuff for a while. Like, I remember watching a thing called Red vs. Blue when I was a teenager. It was basically someone screen capturing Halo, the video game Halo, and trying to make a sitcom out of that. But hey, but I guess this time the studio behind the game actually gave them permission to use the footage. So who knows? Maybe this will lead to more of this kind of thing. Watch it. It's on Mubi. Anyway, that's it for we really need to go, because Nadine's got to go and do some bourgeois mediary stuff. She's
I wouldn't call it bourgeois.
Sitting here in her sunglasses, just looking at the clock, waiting to leave. So there we go. That's it. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Check out Hundreds of Beavers. Please do. But yes, we've just got time for Nadine's roundup of local events. Do we?
Yes, on the 15th of March, we'll be at the Heath Bookshop with Night on Earth, a film by Jim Jarmusch starring Winona Ryder.
Oh.
On the 27th, we've still got a few tickets left to Metropolis. Yes, that's the original silent film with a new score by Ziggurat and Snaps by Blowwater. So that will be at Hare and Hounds on the 27th. And this is a personal favourite of mine. Please do check this out. This is an absolute 90s classic.
Ooh.
Move over Fleabag, because she did it first. Just Another Girl on the IRT 4K restoration screening at Mockingbird Cinema on the 14th of April. Do check out our socials at ScreenB14 and you'll be able to find tickets at our link.
Very good. Some exciting stuff coming up as always. Thanks very much for joining us again on the Brum Picture Show. Do be sure to join us next time. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from me, Paul.
And it's goodbye from me, Nadine.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to The Brum Picture Show, a Screen B14 production for Brum Radio. Tune in next time for more film fun, and don't forget to email us at pictureshow@brumradio.com. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
And on this week's show, we've got a very special episode. Your sunglasses just... Who do you think you are? Bono.
I've got eye strain.
Okay.
And I don't like my glasses, so I'm wearing my sunglasses while I'm in the studio.
All right. Can you lean into the mic a little bit, please? Not only you got sunglasses on, you're leaning back and not even... What's happened? Bougie Nadine. Right.
I'm showbiz.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this Brum Radio podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on your podcast app.